What's up, y'all? My name is Dylan Evans,
I'm Aya.
and this is my media vlog, a media analysis vlog. And what I decided to use was the movie I Am Legend. And the key elements that we're going to talk about that makes it a pandemic dystopia is it being a pandemic itself, the loss of individualism, the lack of resources, kind of, and how it was a wicked problem. So to begin with the first element, which is it being a pandemic itself, in the movie I Am Legend, there was a virus created by the government that was supposed to cure cancer, but instead it took the turn for the worse, and it turned the people that actually survive the virus into vampires slash zombies. Um, so the main character Robert Neville, who was played by Will Smith, miraculously he was immune to the virus himself. So what he did was tested his blood and put it into the infected survivors that he would hunt down and capture and test in his basement.
Well, basically, he would capture the zombies and then test them to see if his formula for getting rid of this the virus that they had that caused them to be zombies worked. So basically, he'll capture them, shoot them up with medicine to see if it got rid of the zombiness virus of them, I guess you'd say, and if it worked. And he was trying it on like millions of captured zombies.
Yeah. So over that span of time of 3 years, none of the patients survived the cure that he was trying to create.
Zombie patients that he captured. Yeah. So don't think of like, regular patients. So
the basically throughout the movie, he continues to test the patients. It shows this one specific patient who was a female, and he tested her for a majority of the movie, and progressively throughout the film, she was showing signs of like positive progression, and even with the skin color, like the infected patients were actually grayish type characters, but like it's shown at the end, she was actually not as veiny as the survivors, and also she was gaining like her natural color back.
Well, I think the one question one might ask is why did he care so much to overtest all of these like zombie patients?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was the only person on like that he knew of on Earth. Like he's been trying to see if anyone else was alive, but literally the only person on Earth, him and all these zombie-looking creatures. So he's just trying to capture them to see if he actually created a cure for the problem that these scientists had caused anyway.
But also, a little bit on Robert Neville's background. He was also a part of the operation of creating the virus. So he was also familiar with the virus, which why I think that he felt obligated to find the cure himself.
Because he was part of the creation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. And it's so... his wife and his daughter died. So his wife and his daughter, were they immune as well? I just know that they didn't have it.
But that was just before the time that the outbreak actually started.
Yeah, before the outbreak happened, they were closing. So they're basically on Staten Island, and they're trying to close off the island, and that means they were going to cut down all the bridges or tear down all the bridges, and no one would be able to leave or come on the island. They were just going to leave all the zombie people there on the island. And so he got a way for his wife and daughter to leave the island, and they end up getting hit by another helicopter, like it was a freak accident. And so he really had nobody in the movie. It was literally just him, and he didn't have a family to look for or anything to work for. He just wanted to, I think that's led to another reason why he felt so guilty, because of you, your wife and daughter eventually passed. Even though it was a freak accident, the reason they were leaving was because
of you. Which ties in with the other element that we were going to discuss, which is the loss of individualism. Yeah. One clip in the movie shows him actually going to like an old Blockbuster and talking to the mannequins. Um, the loss of individualism basically depicted in the movie was he was losing his mind, he was losing hope itself, and he was also losing faith in God. Um, because he was trying over this trial of 3 years. He was trying to communicate with other people through radio communication. He never got any answers back.
He was losing his mind. I mean, anybody would.
Yeah.
I felt like there was this one part he was talking to this mannequin who was a woman, and he would talk to his dog about like getting the mannequin's phone number, and like. I feel like if the movie would have carried on, if he would have never died at the end. I'm just saying, him and Mannequin Debbie.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, this is true. So.
Mannequin Debbie. All right.
So the next element that we're going to discuss is the lack of resources. Being that he was by himself.
I just want to say I don't agree that there was a lack of resources. I think. A lack of certain resources. There were, which I think, he would imagine being just you alone on an island just tomorrow. Everything just dies off except for you. There's enough food, canned food to last you, jar food to last you. And if he goes to the store quickly, I don't know if he was that smart, but if he goes to the store quickly, you could freeze all the meat that's already in there and save it. So when you look at his cabinets in his house, he has food stacked. Like he was eating like a king.
Yeah. But also, the struggle to get those resources. One part in the movie, it showed like a lion actually attacking a deer in the middle of Staten Island. Like you would never, like ever imagine there being like wildlife such like that.
Yeah.
Interacting with each other in Times Square. So I think it's more of a struggle to gain those resources, which why I considered it to be a lack of resources, because at the same time he is alone, and that struggle is a bit difficult to actually gain those resources by himself.
Not even that, he had to get his resources in a certain window.
Yeah,
like he couldn't go out at night because as soon as the sun goes down, it's zombie time.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
of course. Okay. And the last element that we're going to touch on is how it depicts a wicked problem. Wicked problems are things that don't have a definite answer, or in this case, there wasn't a cure until the end. He also thought he was on the side of the government. So the government thought that it was going to be good for people that had cancer and it would cure them, but it didn't. They didn't take into consideration what it would do on the patients that didn't have cancer. So that's how it actually began, and that's how it's a wicked problem, because one solution can be positive for one group of people, but it can also affect another group of people negatively.
It was airborne.
Yeah. So really, it really spread fast, and it wiped out practically a majority of the population on Earth itself. But until the end of the movie, of course, he finds the cure, which was the blood of the victim that was showing signs of progression. So what he did basically was sacrificed himself.
He died.
And he gave the cure to the woman and child that saved him.
So basically, a woman found him. She heard him calling over the radio, so she was alive too. And she thought that there was it Chicago?
Mm.
She thought that there were there was a colony in Chicago of people who were alive. And he didn't really believe her at first, but there was. And so, so he, died. Well, sacrificed himself because the zombies were basically attacking him and her. And so she got out, and she had the vial of blood that had the key to fixing this, and she took it to the colony.
Yep.
And end of movie. Yep. It was a good movie, though. Really good movie.
It was. Personally, I think that they did well, and honestly depicting a pandemic dystopia, because they had key elements as the pandemic itself, of course, creating all of these zombies and um, creating a unsafe environment for the character itself. The loss of individualism again. He lost hope. He lost his faith in finding any cure to the virus or even any other people that would even help him to cope with life itself. Um,
I also think that he was that way because he's also a very strong individual. Like
Yeah.
he was what, colonel?
no,
Or-
he was a virologist, an army virologist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
of course he had that strong mindset, but being alone, I think for that certain amount of time and working and dedicating your entire life to
That
surviving
led, but no,
and having
someone-
that conscience of your family dying, like
But-
it could break a person down.
right. But I'm saying someone like him is more better suited to deal with it like that than someone like me.
Oh yeah, of course, like
Like-
a normal person.
Yeah. So I mean, I would have died probably the first night. I would. He was setting up all kind of traps and stuff. I would have literally died the first night. He was tying all kind of like Boy Scout knots and everything. Like I would have not known. I would have died. Zombie
I think
meat.
honestly, me too. So
No, I think you would have lived like a week. A week more than me.
yeah, but yeah, that ends our discussion for the media analysis for I Am Legend itself. I'd like to thank you guys and see you later.
Bye.
Peace.
No.
So we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to talk about
Oh,
the
I was-
concept itself, but just like talk about. So yeah. So basically basically, when the character is broken down all the way mentally, they
Am I your favorite?
makes sense.
Oh, okay. Got it.